ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधितमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। Sai Ram to all of you. A very good morning. I welcome all of you to Sri Satya Sai Digital Initiative for Career and Education. In short, it is called SSS DICE. As you know, DICE is something like in Odia, we call it as Ludo. ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ଲୁଡୁ ଖେଳେ ସେତେବେଳେ ମୋଷ୍ଟଲି ଆମେ ଭାବେ କି ଆମର ଜିତିବା ବା ହାରିବା ଆମର ଲକ୍ ଉପରେ ଡିପେଣ୍ଡ କରେ। But in career, in the field of career, though there is a role of luck, but you need to have developed many other qualities that is actually going to help you to succeed. जेमते आमे लुडो रे एक पकेले, दुई पकेले, तीन पकेले, what you have to do? You have to basically roll the dice and wait for a luck. But in career, that doesn't go in accordingly with the luck. So what you need to have? You need to have some other quality. That is what DICE stands for. The sixth side of DICE stands for determination, dedication, discrimination, devotion, discipline. If you can develop this 5 quality during your preparation, ultimately it will lead you to the 6th D, that is called the development or the holistic or the self-development of an individual. Now, this SSS DICE is a completely non-for-profit or a completely free educational initiative of Sri Satya Sai Organization Odisha. Now we have planned to have 5 modules under this SSS DICE. The first one being the career counseling or the career guidance program. We have started this first module on the auspicious Utkal Divas this year on April 1st. The second module will be for education. Now, this module will be dedicated for providing quality school education, especially from class 1st to class 12. And we will happy to share you that we have started one initiative. I'm going to share you shortly. The third module or the third pillar will be assisting the youth for preparing competitive examination of all kind, be it public or private jobs, those who lack resources, those who lack mentorship. Given the age of information and given the age of competition, coaching centers are mushrooming, all the information are flooding in YouTube, in all the websites, and parallelly also coaching institutions and they are taking huge amount of fees for preparing this competitive examination. Now everybody cannot afford such expensive fees to clear this examination. Now we will try to bring experts, those who have already cleared all this kind of examination, with their help, with their self-voluntary effort. We are going to bridge the gap. The fourth module will be based on value-based education, basically to impart ethics and integrity among the youth of Odisha. Now, as you know, Sri Satya Sai organization is having a strong hold of creating or nurturing Balbika students through their program that is well known throughout our country and across the globe. Now, the same education is also required for the youth when they move into colleges or university, or even they move into their respective field of career. Now, all of you are aware about the menace of corruptions, menace of bad governance. Now, all these are revolving around due to the debasement or due to the erosion of ethics and integrity or in the value system. Now, we'll try to provide those morality based education to the youth parallelly when they are under school education or under the competitive examination preparation. Now, the last and the fifth module will be skill and vocational training. Already we have a wing that is working in the state, that is called the skill and vocational wing. Now, in this program, we'll try to provide you soft skill. Like yesterday, I was seeing one of the participants in the group. He has asked how to improve English. Now, such skills are really required to have a job these days. Okay, if you are aiming to work in a service sector, you need to have a good or proper communication skill. Now, such skills, those soft skills can be imparted parallelly when you are preparing or when you are undergoing your curriculum. Now, we'll try our best to bring experts to impart you those soft skills as well as vocational training wherever possible by collaborating our mentors with you. Now, till now, under our first module that is called Career Counseling Drive for the year 2022, we have conducted successfully 6 sessions. And today is the 7th session, and the topic will be how to make a career through higher education. Before going into the detail of today's session, I would just like to show you what are the other sessions we have covered till now. The first session we have conducted on April 1st, that is how to become a scientific officer in the Department of Atomic Energy. The second one was delivered on the topic how to prepare for OPSC examination in specific to Odisha Administrative Service. The third one being in a changing trends in IT industry, how you will be able to build a career. That was delivered by one of the expert which is working in the field of software. The fourth one was delivered on how to choose engineering as a career and how to excel in it. The fifth one was on how to explore job opportunity through GATE examination, as GATE is actually the gate to your career opportunity, and it was nicely explained by one of our brother. The sixth one was regarding how to build a career in electrical engineering, and it was delivered by one of the expert in his field. It was delivered, I think, on 17th of April. Now, today, we are fortunate to have among us Brother Sri Pinaki Narayan AP Swain. He has completed his BTech in Chemical Engineering from IGIT Sharang. As all of you may be knowing, it's a government college. And after finishing his graduation, he has moved to prestigious IIT Hyderabad for doing his masters. There he has completed his MTech, and subsequently he has also completed his PhD in IIT Hyderabad. Now, following his PhD, he has moved to McGill University in Canada for obtaining his postdoctoral fellowship. Now, before I narrate some of his achievement, I would like to tell you, I am being fortunate enough to see his growth because he is a batchmate of mine. We both belong to the same alma mater, IGIT Sharang, and both are of the same branch. I know him personally because I observe him from our engineering days, and I can tell you with surety the amount of intelligence and smartness he bears, it's rare. He is one of the best. When he joined the college, he was the highest ranker till he chose to have a engineering branch that is actually less respected or less regarded way back in 2007. That shows his conviction that despite having a rank of, I still remember it is 800 something, but he didn't opt for electrical or mechanical. He was determined to do something different, and the result is in front of all of us. He has worked various aspects of life professionally. As you can see, he has a very distinctive career, and unlike the orthodox way of doing all this MTech, PhD, and PDF, he has switched from his career from a thorough chemical engineering to a diverse field. I can see his work experience that he has finished his PDF in biology department in McGill University, and his topic was, I think it was on related to something molecular simulation. Now you can see how he has drifted, or you can say nicely poised his career from a chemical engineering point of view. He has moved to different aspects like biology and molecular simulation. In MTech also, he has worked in non-Newtonian fluid or Newtonian fluid. Regarding that, he has worked. I will not go into the technical details of his work. So today we are going to discuss, or brother Pinakinaran Episwani will take us through his journey, how he has navigated from BTech to PDF. So I hand over the mic to you, brother Pinakinaran Episwani. Stage is all yours. Sairam.
Thank you, Satya. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You can proceed.
Okay. Thank you, Satya, for the nice introduction. I'll briefly tell you about how I went through my different stages of my career. As Satya already said, I started my BTech from 2007 to 2011. Both of us were in IJIT Sarang, and before that, I just want to briefly tell you about my background. I am from Cuttack. My birthplace is near Chodar, and my schooling was in Ravensa Collegiate School. My father was a government servant in SCA Medical College, was a class 3 employee. So uh, we stayed there for like all throughout my education. But there was a brief time from class 8 to class 10 where I stayed in Collegiate School hostel. My father had moved away to our village, and then I joined as a plus two science student in Stuart Science College. I was there from 2005 to 2007, and um, then I mean I had no real guidance from my family members or like teachers that there are examinations like IIT or AIEEE you could prepare for. I gave all those examinations, briefly came to know about them 2 months from the CHSE examination. So I just filled those forms blindly and didn't succeed in those examinations. And my rank was something close to 890 or something in Odisha JEE, and that was also without any preparation. I was just studying for my CHSE examination and whatever. I'm sorry.
No, it was actually a disturbance. You can proceed.
No problem. So then I joined as a chemical engineering student in IJIT Sarang, though mechanical, electrical both at Sarang and at Burla CET were available to me, but I was very naive at this stage, so I won't tell that those were very thoughtful or rational decisions. I just went with the flow, and there was a naive tendency at this stage to I want to do something different and not really do what thousands of people are doing. And I remember sitting in the counseling room and looking at which are the uh, lesser known branches. And there was a applied engineering and instrumentation at CET, which got filled up by the time my rank came over. And then there was a ETC at Burla, though there I was a bit interested in ETC and computer science, but those used to filled up pretty quickly, and my family really couldn't support me studying in a private engineering college. Government engineering college those days, when Satya and I used to study, the fees was near about 1,75,000 or something for the whole 4 years. And I mean, with a study loan, we could afford it. And then I joined IJIT Sarang as a BTech student there. So my trajectory throughout the engineering college was also not very steady. I joined there as a fast rank student, but in the first semester itself, I got a back paper in C programming. And many people who are now my colleagues used to laugh at that because my computational skills were pretty good right now, but it wasn't like, it didn't become overnight, or I don't think anybody born with a, speaking English or doing coding as a natural skill. So I had to learn that along the way, and my first attempt at learning programming was a failure because, I mean, the class strength was like 150 odd or something. There were people from diverse backgrounds, so Satya also knows that we had to study with people from CBSE, ICSE background where they used to have a prior base in C++, those kind of programming languages. And the classroom teaching was like, super fast, and you have to pack a lot of information in a 4 month semester course, and I couldn't catch up all those things. I didn't even know that what is a pen drive at that stage, I mean, in 2011. And forget about writing a program and running that on a computer. Then I learned from those experience. I came back in the summer holidays. I went to a normal computer center. Nowadays, there are probably a numerous numbers in Cuttack, Bhubaneswar. So I joined one of them, and there was a kind-hearted faculty there who somehow noticed that this boy has a good mathematical intuition. He's just not being able to translate that to a computer language. So he spent some time with me outside, is in the tutorial hours, told me like, this is just language, you get used to it, and these are printf, and you then write whatever inside that, and the computer still prints it. This is a scanf command, and you learn how to give integer through it, and the computer accepts it. And after that, it is just math, and you use this language and your mathematical intuition to solve problems on computer. So I got fascinated by that at that stage, and I did attempt to take a second course. I mean, it was compulsory for all of us BTech graduate. Even if you are a chemical engineering student, you have to take 3 or 4 computer courses, and also management courses, and also environmental chemistry courses. So not all of the courses used to appeal me. C++ I liked after a revived interest in C. Then throughout 4 year, I had another 3 backlogs. Like, I'm telling you about those failures because, these are the things I learned from most. People often look at the um, outside picture that this guy has 80% or 90%, and but I think the failure experiences teaches a person most than all those numbers. And I also strictly don't believe in that, a 85% student is smarter or better than a 70% student in all respect. Myself, I was a 70-75% student throughout the school career. I only got exposed to minor engineering subjects in school, and throughout the NCET I had like 4 backlogs. So I was roughly 8 point or something. And I think I had 3 more backlogs. One of them was organizational behavior, one of them was marketing management, and another was environmental chemistry. And used to those are compulsory subjects, so you have to take them. And I used to, after getting a backlog, I will apply for the tech paper examination, and just one day before the examination, I'll just mug up 1 or 2 modules, which would ensure me that I get 30 marks, and used to do that deliberately just so that this doesn't become a permanent hurdle, and I go through this boring episode and start my next interesting journey. So, so it was in 2010 I had first appeared for GATE examination. So those year you could give a GATE examination as a third year engineering college engineering student. So in my first attempt as a third year student, I had got a decent rank, which was like 738 or something. So that could ensure you a master MTech in NIT or a slightly lower IITs, not really like IIC Bangalore or IIT Bombay or Kanpur, but you could certainly apply for IIT Guwahati or one of the newer IITs at that time, and definitely all NITs. So having, I mean, uh, if you get a get degree, you could also get, if you become get qualified, you could also apply for different public sector examinations, and a lot of PSUs use GATE as their written examination. But I didn't apply it for any of them. I didn't apply to join a campus, or I didn't apply for any kind of a job after BTech. I was interested in knowing more about my branches, and also my family was supportive, and they sort of back all the decision I make. So it's not like somebody tells me or something. I usually follow my instinct and keep sort of everything I can. It's not like that I work 10 12 hours a day, but I mean, I sort of sort of follow my instinct more than my elders advice, or whatever the trend is going on. And I have a faith in that if I uh, follow what I'm truly interested in, if I enjoy doing something, then I can do it for 5 hours, 6 hours a day, and don't feel the pain that I'm doing a hard work or something. So I thought about doing masters. I thought that this is something I enjoy really, reading books, solving problems, and hopefully doing a master will give me more opportunity to do that. And it's probably the best thing in the world where you could earn something and also enjoy doing that same thing. So an MTech those days when I joined in 2010, third year, I had a decent rank, and I also had that confidence if I prepare for another year and by fourth year I'll get a better rank. But in that one year, I spent most of my time with my friends, and sort of it was the final year engineering period where people use to prepare. Some of them will be very job oriented and campus oriented, and some of them people will just hang around with friends. I choose the second option. I'm not very I don't regret that at all. I had very lasting and good memories with my friends, sitting with them or playing cards with them till late night, and I learned a lot from them. Some of them are still one of like my go-to guys, and those are also things in life where you just can't be bogged by as a robotic machine that this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do, and uh, I also don't know if I had studied for 6 hours or 7 hours a day at that time, whether I would have got into IIT or IOCL or not. That's difficult to tell. But I gave my another GATE try at the end of my fourth year. My rank didn't improve much. I think it was just by 5 numbers. My third year rank was 738. My fourth year rank was 733. I was a bit disappointed that I probably if I had got close to 200 or 300, I would have got into IIT Kanpur or Bombay. But that kind of proved as a blessing in disguise, because once you enter into a older established institution, things are a bit more static, or already fixed. The culture is already fixed in one way or the other. You will meet, of course, senior faculties, and but the department culture or the people you used to meet there, they would be far more senior to you. You may feel a little shy or intimidated by their presence. Just looking at a 30-year-old senior professor, it becomes a bit difficult to ask questions on their face. And when I joined IIT Hyderabad, that's 2013, the department had only 12, I think 12 faculties. All of them were young, like 30 to 40-year age group. Some of them came from 10-year service in industry. Some of them were just fresh postdoc from Imperial College. So, who was my guide in masters, Dr. Kirti Chandra Sahu at IIT Hyderabad. So he's also from Odisha, from Sambalpur, if Sambalpur or Balangir, if I'm not mistaken. And the first year of MTech used to be a coursework. So coursework like you do 4 subjects a semester plus 1 lab, and that you do for 2 semesters. So in total, 8 course subjects, theory subjects, one practical lab, and one seminar. And I did that from 2013 to 14. Everyone is supposed to do that. And by the end of first year, you have to choose an advisor by talking with different faculty members in your department, and then you decide your project, which will be your master's thesis, and that will keep you involved for the second year of your MTech program. So I choose to work with Dr. Kirti Sau. He was kind enough to take me, and he's a fluid dynamist, so he's a theoretical scientist. His background is from Burla Civil Engineering, and I was a chemical engineering student. But this is where things get a little bit interesting, because these days in research fields, the boundaries are blurred. And as a traditional chemical engineer, probably your options are joining a petroleum refinery, or a oil industries, or fertilizer industries, or plastic polymers, those kind of things. But in modern chemical engineering, is like you could go into, if you are interested in collaborating with mechanical engineers or application based things, you could go to work with making alternative renewable sources of energy, thinking of making batteries that would last longer, thinking of batteries that will cost less. Or if you are interested in more fundamental science of things, you could go to study problems that physicists or physical chemists would solve. So you can go to work on fluids, you can go to work on biology, things like that. So he was a fluid dynamics theorist, and I learned how to use computers to solve complex problems on fluid dynamics. And then you know, at certain point of my so, and I was supposed to work with him for my PhD degree also. So, and we had briefly discussed about some project, and there was a time in my PhD first semester. So in PhD also, you are given a 6 month or 1 year of your time to do again coursework. And then you talk with different faculty members, and choose your research advisor. So this time I thought of, like, I was taking a course in thermodynamics during my PhD, and there was a time where I had to, like, I got interested in generating steam tables. Like, you people who work in engineering might be knowing about steam tables. There is a pressure, volume, temperature charts, and on next to the chart you will get entropies, enthalpies, and all specific volume, all those properties of steam at a specified temperature and pressure, and you could take numbers from that and solve problems. And I was thinking about that, how these tables are generated, whether one can write equations and then compute them. Certainly, ideal gas equation will not suffice. And then I found that, yeah, there is the algorithm described in a book. The book's name is author's name I remember, Stanley Sandler. So it was in some chapter 5 or 6, if I remember correctly. So there's a equations which are like, Van der Waals equation of state, and little bit modified, so that it from if you plug those numbers correctly on a computer, and give the pressure and temperature, you could generate steam table. And that was very fascinating to me, that all these years in BTech I used to think that this is a reference book, but here I can generate number using computers. And I got fascinated by that, and I went to talk with the thermodynamics prof, and he was initially bit what you call defensive about it, and sort of suggested me that you are working on fluids, and if you continue to work on that, you probably could get a PhD in 3.5 years or 4 years, and be placed reasonably quicker. If you think of switching field now and work on thermodynamics, it will take you more time. And of course, and why would you want to risk that? You already have a paper in with Kirti, and I had a publication but I was like bit what you can call Hindi में जैसे ढीठ बोलते हैं तो उस टाइप का मैं. So I went there a couple of more times and talked with both Kirti and the thermodynamic prof, and his name is Dr. Saptarshi Majumdar. So he then agreed me that he will take me as a PhD student, and he said that that's not because initially I said not because I thought that you can't contribute, but I think that you so why I didn't want you to disturb you from equilibrium. So my answer was sort of that, like I may reach another equilibrium after working with you for a couple of years or so. So then I worked with him, and he was interesting on certain problem in thermodynamics. So how to study a phenomena when you mix two liquids together. He was also a theorist and more of a modeler and simulation guy, and he had certain notions about that how he wants to handle the problem, and the technique he wanted to use was molecular simulation. Now, this is a technique which was invented by physicists and chemists. And basically, the technique is like you solve Newton's laws of motion on a computer. So you think of the liquids as a collection of molecules, as you know, and you can, if you know the forces between molecules, you can start from a collection of molecules like 1,000 molecules or 10,000 molecules and simulate them on a computer, and then uh, find properties of that liquid such as diffusion coefficient, viscosity, surface tension. And the technique is not that hard, but the algorithms were developed by physicists, and there is a physics faculty at IIT Hyderabad, which Professor Devasis Chaudhary is currently a faculty at the Institute of Physics, Bhubaneswar, near Acharya Vihar. So they were both friends, and after I joined as a PhD student with Dr. Saptarshi, he told me that you learn that technique from Devasis and and use that to solve the problem I am interested in, which is like mixing two liquids. And I had several conversations with Devasis in this regard. I learned again the physics technique, and also on base of that, I was not trained as a physics master student. I don't have a BSc, MSc degree in physics. I have a BTech a BTech and MTech. But I again went back and sort of started from scratch learning, like classical mechanics, statistical mechanics, whatever I could at a brief speed. I didn't read quantum mechanics because that's not what was not required for my research. So it's not like that I did a full-fledged degree, but I studied on my own, presented in front of my faculties, and they helped me. So gave me, like read this chapter from this book, read this chapter from this book, and learn those things, basic physics stuff. And then while I was learning, Devashish was also discussing with me whatever problems he works on, and he was working on a problem of a bacteria chromosome. So how a bacteria chromosome is packed inside a bacteria. So bacteria don't have a nucleus, so you have a chromosome which is floating inside a cell, and the size of that bacteria cell is like 1 micron. That's typical. Bacteria are unicellular organisms, and so they have one cell which is roughly around 2 to 4 micron in length. But inside that, the chromosome is there, and if you take that chromosome out and stretch it, it will be of the length of few millimeters. So that's like a tough physics problem, how this millimeter size object is packed inside a micron. So he was working on that. I mean, that problem of chromosome also is relevant for human chromosome. Your cell lengths are typically of the order of 10 microns or something, but your body contains 23 pairs of chromosome, as you know. If you stitch all of them together and make a one rope out of it, so that rope will be of the length of 2 meters. So inside, if all of your cells inside billions of cells in your bodies, in billions or trillions of them, and inside each of them cell there is a 2 meter object which is wrapped inside by several mechanisms and that replicates transcripts. And so it was quite fascinating to me, like, how these uh, meter length, millimeter length objects are packed inside micron size cells and also do all these necessary biological activity of making proteins, of uh, uh, dividing cell, of replicating themselves as a copy of one DNA. So it was very, very interesting to me. And so he offered me that there is a problem. He's working currently with few people at European universities, and those people at European universities are doing experiment, and he is doing theory. So it's doing molecular simulation on bacteria chromosome. So, and I should mention that at that point, I wasn't working with the problems Saptarshi, my initial advisor, has given me. That is mixing two liquids. So I was working on that, but not at the full strength. Like wasn't fully focused on that. So he also encouraged me, okay, if you are working with a problem with Devasis and you are interested in, you are free to go on that path. So and I must be thankful to him because whatever results I get out from that project, he wasn't directly benefited by it. I mean, like his name was not on those papers, but he encouraged me that you should work on whatever you are interested in, and that effectively took me 5 years. Like um, once I'm making these switches from learning chemical engineering to going to physics, then working on a biological problem. So I had to learn again basic biology. I mean, I enjoyed them. I'm not saying that in a complaining tone, but once you make your choices, you are also responsible for the delay. I mean, like usually PhDs take 4 years or 5 years in IIT Hyderabad, and you get funded by MHRD for 5 years. So by the end of 3 years, people used to have their first publication or something. I had none, and but I knew that I was on the right track and I was doing something interesting. My advisors were happy with my progress. So by the end of third year, I had almost my
Pinaki, are you able to hear me? Pinaki? Sairam, Pinaki, are you able to hear me?
I'm sorry, my connection was bit weak and I lost you for a moment.
Actually, Pinaki, I would like to request you to check your internet connection. I think your voice is breaking in between.
I,
Would you please check your connection?
yeah, yeah, can't help it. I mean, whatever it is going to remain the same. Yeah. Can you hear
Yeah,
me now?
yeah, it is okay. You can proceed. Yeah.
Yeah. So I joined as I was in third year and I didn't have a publication at that stage. But after meeting with several faculty members related to my field in Bangalore conference, I was confident that I on the right track. I'm on the right track, and I should preserve and not pay attention to non-academic stuffs, like when the stipend is going to over and whether I will graduate in time or not. So then, fourth year onwards, we started writing up our paper, whatever our findings were, and uh, I think it took because more than a year when you start to write to paper with 10 or more people, it always takes more time and so I write a biology journal, which is a very prestigious journal in biology field, and another was in a soft matter physics, which is a physics-based journal. So my theoretical calculations were of directly publishable findings in physics community, and some of them were uh, implication of those calculations were relevant to bacterial chromosome. So, but I didn't have a paper with my main advisor at that stage. So then I resumed working with my main advisor, Saptashi Majumdar. And by that time, I had enough grip on the molecular simulation techniques. And he was interested in some of the problems related to how to make drug delivery vehicles from polymeric materials. And he had an experimental student was preparing hydrogels. So these are like, materials made from charged polymers, and which can soak up drug molecules. Like, if you put them in water, so these drug molecules will diffuse and get inside those polymer matrix, and it will remain stable in that condition. And if you put that in a different pH or other medium, then these drug molecules can diffuse out of it. And so by tinkering these kind of things, you can make, like, capsules which can be used as medicines. So essential thing is that you have a inside in a capsule also you have a plastic or kind of material inside that there are drugs. So that material needs to have certain characteristics. Like, it shouldn't be harmful to your body. It should be able to uh, uh, dissolve in your stomach, which has a definite amount of pH. Your capsule should not dissolve in your throat or somewhere. So that's not desirable. So that material, there's a lot of work that goes into making those outer coatings. And so he was interested in whether you can make those kind of material starting from charged polymers. So I did some theoretical calculations, like molecular simulation on those charged polymers, and published one article with my main advisor. And then I sort of become then eligible to appear for a defense, which is like you go up to your doctoral committee that consists of 5 or 6 faculty members and present your work of 4 years, 5 years, or in my case 6 years, to the committee. And if they are satisfied with your progress, and they will ask you questions, if they are satisfied with your answers, then you get a doctorate degree. And along the journey also you learn various things. So every IIT or any institute who join as a PhD student will give you teaching assistantship. So I also learned to teach there, and I'm very thankful to that. So my advisor used to give me at least 2 or 3 classes per semester. So I had like taken 40 or 50 classes throughout my PhD career of IIT BTech students, and it was very helpful. Like, having something in your mind and then going and talking with younger student and getting feedback from there. And some of them are smart enough to catch your mistakes or point out errors in your um, whatever you are teaching. And you go there again and discuss with them, come back to your room, think about again what did I made wrong, and work on those things. So it's kind of like I enjoyed those process a lot. And like uh, I kind of am a big fan of cricket, and it's like your learning is never complete. Every day throws up new challenges, and you always start from zero. That kind of if you are batting, even if you are a 10-year experienced cricketer. So once you get caught behind or age to a sleep, you again think about your technique, what went wrong, and go to the nets, practice your basic cover drive, forward defense. So I mean, I like that process. It's like also in any creative field. To me, science is creative field, and sports sports, also writing novels, poetry, all those kind of thing. And your learning is never complete. Even someone you might be knowing in your family practicing music or something, so they always do that sargam or the basics, like for 1 hour, call that riyaz or something. So you don't, I mean, unless otherwise you are Mozart or something, you don't compose music at the age of 4. And even if you are a Mozart or Rahman, you doesn't give you any guarantee that if you produce one beat of music in Rosa, then you will also be able to produce beautiful music at the age of 50. So people like that continuously work on what that interests in. Of course, there are challenges thrown by society, field, financial constraint, and but if you're interested in passionate in something, you will find people who would help you along the journey. There would be people who would think like you, who would be also going along that path. So I had good fortune to meet several of those people, and who were supportive of me, juniors who will to share my journey, and seniors I could look up to. So all those things help, and finally I could complete my PhD in 2019. And then by that time I was much more into biology. I had found, I mean, not only number crunching and just doing theoretical calculation, but I found a motivation that also can throw light on some of the um, essential questions about life and early life forms, like bacteria are the simplest organisms. And I wrote to, I had read some of her paper, Dr. Stephanie Weber. She is a faculty at McGill University, Canada. So she is by training, she is a biochemist, but she an experimentalist. But she appreciates what a theorist can contribute to those areas of biology. So not a very traditional biologist in that regard, so more of a theoretical biologist, and also does experiment but asks questions a theorist would ask. Now, how that chromosome, which I was looking from a theorist perspective, she was asking question about them, how this chromosome actually diffuses through the cell. So that was her PhD problem, and she was not very elder to me. Like she is probably now also 38 or 39 something, so like 5, 6, 7 years older to me. And she had done her PhD from Stanford and a postdoc from Princeton, from some of the topmost biologists and biological physicists, I would say, in the world. And she was an assistant professor at McGill. So normally, I mean, after doing a PhD, people often write to more experienced faculties, or like somebody 50, 60 year old, and who can then give them a probably have a stronger network of contacts. And but I thought that Stephanie's group would be much more ideal to me. I had learned, read her paper, admired her work, and I thought here I could probably get a more independence and to pursue my interest, and she would be much more uh, helpful to me. And not, you also tend to feel that pressure in front if you join a very big lab and they are interested in publishing a lot, or they have a group of 10 PhDs or 15 postdocs or something like that, then you will be lost there. So I considered all those things, then wrote to Stephanie, and she was kind enough to meet me on Skype, and I presented my work to her, and then she asked me to get a presentation in front of her group members, which were like more her PhD postdoc students and couple of her colleagues from McGill biology department. And after that, she offered me a position as a postdoc scientist in McGill. So the position officially is a postdoctoral researcher, which is a good name for as a scientist under trainee. You are considered as a trainee scientist. So it's like the next thing you do after MBBS, something like that. So you work as a trainee scientist and gain further experience. So that effectively helps you to find a faculty career in academics, even if you want to join as a faculty in IIT or IJR or Niger and those kind of research institute, a postdoc experience is essential. Sometimes 2 years is not enough, and people often go in fundamental science like physics, chemistry, biology. People often go for 4 year, 5 years postdoc, and then if they do good work there, then it becomes easier for them to get into research institutes like TFR labs or IJR or so with a plain PhD. Earlier, people used to go with a PhD to CSR lab and also get hired, but the hiring is a much complicated process and not really very much knowledgeable about that how faculty hiring happens. So that's something I'm going through right now, writing to different people and talking with them and seeking opportunities where I could work after a postdoc at McGill. But that's sort of the idea that you could apply for research institutes. If you want to do less research and more teaching, you could go for your IITs after postdoc or apply for NIT Raulkela or other NITs in this country. And I've been a bit away from chemical engineering, mainstream chemical engineering, but you're still eligible to apply for chemical engineering faculty also. So that's sort of like my experience, and I would be happy to take questions or anything you felt like I went through too fast, maybe in 20-25 minutes. So I'll be happy to answer any question you have.
Thank you. Thank you, Pinaki, for taking us such an exciting journey. Actually, though we are friends from our engineering time, I was not been in touch with him, his career, though I was briefly knowing, and in between we used to chat, but not in a regular manner. But today I came to know it was really a fascinating journey. You have been like you had made that journey from a conventional chemical engineer
Yeah.
and then into the field of thermodynamics or kind sort of physicist.
Yeah.
Then you have moved to biologist. You have worked in molecular, bacterial, all these things. It was really fascinating for me to listen that you have gone through such an enriching experiences over the years. Actually, I would just like to compliment you. Normally, when we graduate from like government colleges or so-called BTech, we used to think that okay, making the career like any conventional path is a easy one. Okay, right? That if you follow certain trajectory, you will get a job within 5 or let us say 4 years. But you have done such a varied career. You have chosen by yourself. You have pursued your interest. Uh, at times, it gets a lot of courage to do so. How did you keep yourself motivated? Because it has been 2 years in MTech, I think
Yes.
five plus years in PhD,
Six.
and 2 years after that.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I personally would like to know how you kept yourself motivated these years. Okay.
Yeah, it's like 10, I think 2011 we passed BTech, and it's like 10, 11 years close to after BTech.
Right.
And I mean, probably you also know that I do a bit of reading all these literatures, and you are the person who first gave me a copy of Amavasya Chandravai Govindas. And so I mean, like I work from like majority of my work is done before 12 a.m. Like I wake up early, today also, and I mean every day. It's like a habit. So if it is occasionally on a weekend, and if I had like a party with my friends, I may wake up at 7:30 or 8. That's like as late as I could go. But my normal waking time is like 5:30 to 6. Then I go for a walk or a running. I took up as a hobby doing my PhD. So third year or second year onwards, and I carried that till my last PhD days. Canada, it was too cold to go outside for a run, but it's something I enjoy. I here also I go for a walk for like 5-6 kilometers. So running is something I really enjoy. It's like it keeps my head out of the clouds, and it keeps So then I come back to my room. I till I rest for some time, go for a bath, and then um, take a breakfast in mess. Then I go to lab, or if I'm working on some writing thing, then I sit in my room and I straight work for like 3 to 4 hours till 12 or something. Go for a lunch again, come back, and I work at a lesser intensity. Post lunch you feel a little bit sleepy, but so listen to some music or something. And I'm fan of different musical artists. Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan is someone I came to know a lot during my PhD days, and used to listen to all his live Qawwali performances. And sometimes putting his music on, and I can still code or read a PDF, and something at a lesser intensity. I work till 5 p.m. and after that I don't work. I talk with my friends. So and that's also, I mean, if you're talking with a friend for half an hour or 40 minutes and listen, what stage his recent article is in, and I generally talk with people from different background. I had friends from Karnataka in civil engineering, friends from Uttar Pradesh who were working on catalysis, friends from Madhya Pradesh who are working on computer science, information processing. So, I mean, that's something I enjoy, looking and life from different people's perspective. And it's not that what I do is always correct, or what I am going through is the hardest phase of my life. I might be in a fourth year PhD student without publication, but I'm still getting encouragement from my advisors. They used to believe in me, whatever I used to do, and encourage me. But I also found instances among my friends who are at a lesser, at a more difficult situation,
Yeah. So what I can brief, perseverance is what defines you these years.
there would be at any point of stage people who are far more better than you, far more lesser than you. So you can't you are a Rahul Dravid and you are debuting for a country at 23-year-old. You can't think like you are less compared to some Tendulkar who made debut 16-year-old. Like you just that I mean you enjoy the game, and that's why you play for, and that's probably the reason why I think these Ranji players play for Odisha, not getting enough recognition, but till 30-year-old, till 32-year-old. So that's because you turn up every day to practice whether your ball is swinging or not, and because you enjoy it and you have people to share that in the enjoyment. So I went through that 5 years because I like to read, and I was getting stipend which was enough to pay my bills. My family was not dependent on me for money. I think I can completely understand someone going for a job early if his family situations detected that, like if
Yeah, because our society is is it defined in such a way that after you complete BTech, they will expect you as soon as a handsome package, right? So these are actually very testing
I
and
think
challenging circumstances.
situation. I mean, my parents also were like, by the end it was 5 years or 6 years. They were little bit starting to lose patience, like, when it will end, when it will end. And those are the questions I will always listen when I came to Dashara or something like that. And I used to, put those remarks out of my head. And uh, I knew that I was working on something good and it will lead to something good. So all these things I like think them as noise, and I don't put all of my energy there. So I would rather relax in the vacation, meet my old friends, and don't listen to those things. Yeah,
Correct.
to say I'm a bit resilient in that.
Yeah. So we would like any other members to ask some questions of your interest. Actually, he's vastly experienced, as all of you would have listened to him. We would appreciate if any question is there. You can ask him directly. Sairam.
And They are probably a very shy audience. I mean, it's okay if they want to ask in Odia or something. I'm
या
fine
आपण
with.
ମାନେ ମଧ୍ୟ ଓଡିଆରେ ମଧ୍ୟ क्वेश्चन ପଚାରି ପାରିବେ ଯଦି ଆପଣ ମାନଙ୍କର ସ୍ପେସିଫିକ କିଛି ହାୟର ହାୟର ଏଜୁକେସନ ରେ କେମିତି କ୍ୟାରିୟର କରିପାରିବେ ଯେମିତି କି ଭାଇ ଆମର ଆପଣ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ସେୟାର କଲେ ତାଙ୍କ ଜର୍ଣ୍ଣି ଆପଣ ମାନେ क्वेश्चन ପଚାରି ପାରିବେ ବର୍ଷା ଜ୍ୟୋତିପ୍ରଭା ଜ୍ୟୋତିର୍ମୟୀ ମୋନାଲିସା ପ୍ରତ୍ୟୁଷ ଶ୍ରଦ୍ଧା ଆପଣ ମାନେ क्वेश्चन ପଚାରି ପାରିବେ फ्रीली ସୁନୀଲ ଶାନ୍ତି ସୁହାଗୀ okay I think they are a bit shy so I will put questions okay because I am having a lot of doubts
Oh, sure.
okay so would you please tell about what are the current like scenario in Indian setup is it good to do higher studies like MTech and PhD in Indian setup or the people are preferring after BTech they are writing and they're going for MS so is there any big difference or is it good to have also like IIC are there, ISC, IITs are there, a lot of central universities are there. Whether it is not sufficient to do research and collaborate with the foreign players. What is your take on this?
I think, I mean, you could do research in India. I strongly believe that. I mean, uh, I have worked for 2 years in abroad universities. I don't think in terms of like, basic intelligence or like human capital, there is a lot of difference. It's that just that they have better infrastructure and more funding and those kind of things. I think in India, probably the decision involving how funds are allocated and whether students get stipend at the right time or not in some of the in all universities under UGC, I think those are probably a little bit questionable. But if you go to TFRs or IITs, you'll get stipend on time. And I received all my stipends on time. That's probably an issue in some of the lesser known universities which are all maybe accredited to UGC, but people probably don't get stipend on time in all the NITs or central universities. That's something I think an issue, but I've not faced it myself. But if you go to something like IIT Kharagpur or any older IITs or even IIT Hyderabad, these days the PhD stipend, MHRD stipend is something you could think as reasonable enough. You could support yourself. I think the PhD stipend these days is 31,000 or something for past 2 years, which you will be counted as a JRF, Junior Research Fellow. The next 3 years you will get something like 35,000 or something. So, and you will be also given money to travel abroad for a conference. And I think those it's reasonable enough money to study in a university where you will be paying money once in a semester for your food, and uh, you could pay your bills, you could enjoy time with your friends and still uh, give something to your family. I think that's possible. I mean, you certainly don't expect to have a similar budget as of a employee, software employee or something. But I think 35,000 is good enough money for a student in India. And get books from library. You get free and fast internet inside these campuses. And it's a good journey. I think as a MTech student nowadays, probably you get 12,500 something like stipend, and in my time it was 8,000, and my hobbies were a bit inexpensive, so I could support myself. And during MTech also, I used to pay my to take money from my parents. So yeah, and you pay your bills, and my how expenses were most of the kind. Like I used to buy 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees of novels from online with pages, and I still do that. And books are inexpensive hobbies, and also very good friends. And so my expenses were limited. I don't have a very lavish lifestyle, so I didn't find it difficult to do research with that money in India. But if you go abroad as a PhD student, you will earn also more. I think PhD stipend in Michael is something like $1,800 per month. So that's roughly is $90,000, 90,000 rupees. So that's obviously more, but the expense is also more. You will have to pay like close to 25,000, 30,000 as a rent, house rent there, and probably another 15 or 20,000. So you could save like 30,000, 20,000, something of that order, in if you do a PhD abroad. But that's roughly the same amount you will receive in India. But the pluses minus will also cancel out in some way. Like you go to a foreign country, you will miss your own people, own country, own culture, own food, everything. You have to clean your houses on your own. In it is like whether it's a mess, you don't have to worry about buying groceries or anything. Just pay your money there for go there at the lunchtime, and you can solely concentrate on your studies, and you'll have people to talk with you. If you go abroad, you will miss that local culture, and some people find it's worth a thing to compromise with. But to me, I think I have no complaint of doing PhD in India, like or MTech in India. Um, I've seen people doing masters and PhD abroad, and it's um, beneficial in certain
What
respect.
is the biggest takeaway from the point of view of research, like or you can say exposure?
I think that's yes. These days there is. I don't think the world is sort of or more or less globally connected. You could attend any lecture series from MIT on YouTube or Coursera, or you can listen to research talk from various communities. So, and if you find someone is really doing something essential to your interest, and you are interested in working with him or her, you can write to that person over email, set up meeting with them, work from them from with them from here. And I think that's a bit I think that's something I would encourage students to try if they're doing master or PhD, like work with the people not necessarily in your department, not necessarily on your university, even outside country. Go for a 2 month visit there. So do these short term things fast before giving a long term commitment. Even before joining as a master student in India, there is a student, try solving some problem, read some paper as a BTech student, and understand it. Do if you have an natural affinity towards that. So do those kind of short term uh, exercises, homework on your before doing any long term commitment, because 6 years is not easy. The PhD is a long term commitment, and if you find
Right.
that it's um, not a thing that you are doing for, and it can be an very hazardous thing, like going for there 2 3 years and finding that you are going nowhere and then looking for a job. I think some people fall into that loophole also.
Correct. Any other question, participants? Would like to hear you. You can throw question. Amit, Archana, Barsha.
So, I mean, like, if you don't mind, can I know what's like the average age of the students with us, or they're like of our age?
Actually, that bit difficult to guess because all of them have joined directly to the link.
I say.
Yeah, please speak. You can freely speak. We encourage you to speak. It's a friendly conversation. It's nothing like that. You can freely ask any sort of doubt or apprehension or whatever you want to discuss. Just go on.
10th plus 2 ତା ବିଷୟରେ ବି ପଚାରି ପାରିବ ଯଦି ରିସର୍ଚ୍ଚ ମାନେ
Correct. ଯଦି
ଜଣା
କୋଉମାନେ
ପଡୁଛି
10th
ବହୁତ ଆଗକୁ ହେଇଯାଇଛି।
10th ରେ ଅଛନ୍ତି ବା 12th ରେ ଅଛନ୍ତି ସେମାନେ ମଧ୍ୟ ପଚାରି ପାରିବେ। Okay, I think they are a bit shy. So I will put another question. What is the role of mentorship during these years, during MTech, PhD, and PDF? As I was listening
Yeah.
to you, there is a huge role in mentorship. That
Yes, yes. Yeah.
can
I
you
mean,
just throw some light? Yeah.
I mean, you need, of course, technical assistance, like, how to do something, how to learn a software or how to operate a machine. And somebody who has done that knows what are the don'ts, what are the do's for that, what is the easiest way to do that. But more than that, I think you need that non-technical part, like, how to how to uh, just to reset a person who is on a, feeling little bit down or demotivated. And most of my conversation with my main advisor was not about actually physics, biology, or coding or anything like that. So I'll just go up to him, and some days we'll talk about. And he's a very big fan and also knowledgeable fan of Vivekananda and Ramakrishna. And I was not. I'm still not
Interesting.
very spiritually inclined person, and like I enjoy movies, sports more, read novels, and I learn whatever I want to learn from them. And he is also very much interested in English literature and stuff like that. I mean, he reads 19th century poets, and he is also very much into Bengali literature. And some of our conversations about, like, what he thought about Shakespeare, what he thought about Shankar, Advaita's philosophy, what he would tell me about some of the things he had seen in Himalayas. He goes to Himalayas
So it's a
for six.
kind of a intellectual discussion all through your journey. Okay.
Yeah, I
But
mean, like, I mean, he would also talk to me about, like, Richard Hardley, who was his favorite fast bowler, and he encouraged me to, I used to know that I write a blog on cricket, and I keep on doing all those things. Then, so 50 minutes or something, we'll talk about all the things in life, and how he getting through things externally, things like standing up, like my back is paining today a lot. And you, as I used to laugh at them, like, don't laugh, you'll only get to know once you cross 35. so,
nice.
and he used to play football during his school days, so college days. So most of our conversations are about non-life and non-technical, and around different things in life. And I mean, it's just that you're there to work with on a person from with a person for 5 to 6 years. So if you know them on a personal front, it becomes easier to communicate the official things also. So if you strict impersonal relationships, I don't think work a lot. So if you're on friendly terms with your boss, or even in family and parents, it becomes easier. And, like, I think uh, if you are little bit close to a person in your family, be it your mother, father, or elder teacher, and then you should be able to go to someone in your family or in your school teacher, just to talk that, and not ashamed of being like, I scored a 28 out of 100. And if you always feel like intimidated that I'll get a beating, or get a shouting from them for my lack of these so-called numbers or parameters of success, then it's not very beneficial. You need that support structure where you can go there and just unassumedly to tell that I did bad in this exam because of this and this, and it's not a big deal, and make it up next time. And also that person gives you that kind of feedback. Oh, I know you are much better than it, 25 out of 100 student. And it's not something to worry about in life. It's a bit comforting. And I have found those kind of people, and it's important, I think, people find those kind of mentors where you can go unassembly and talk about your shortcomings.
Thank you. One more question that comes to my mind: when you are like doing such research oriented job, and that too for a longer period of time, close to a decade.
Mm.
How do you choose a problem? Okay, like suppose many of the Nobel laureate, if you
Yep.
see their journey, they will try to see everyday problem that we are seeing, but
Yep.
they will be fascinated by the natural phenomena and they will try to pick up a subject and do the research.
Yes.
Now you have been through the research for 10 years. Now what kind of advice, because many people just go by the, like what you call the rat race, and they just follow, finish MTech, finish PhD in a machine way. Okay, so how can they really be fascinated towards research? Like you told, you have been fascinated towards computer programming, you have been fascinated towards molecular biology and all.
Yep.
So how they will prepare themselves? Because when they ventured into MTech or a PhD, they should not just ended up in okay, just finish 3 years, 4 years, get a degree.
Yeah, I mean, it's like your personality sort of seeps into also the work aspect of your life. That's what I feel. So if you keep your head a little bit open, and I mean, there is no, as you probably know, there is no fixed way to how to be creative. Or, you can't ask like, it's probably a dicey question to ask. Like, where does A.R. Rahman finds inspiration to give these music which always appears new to us, whereas there is probably several other musicians across the country, probably in Odia also, who copy paste this thing and probably put new words in a already composed music and resell that thing. We see that in movie industry also, and not everything is like new or original. There are many copy paste materials from South industry to Hindi to Odia. Serials also get copied, and research is also is like that in a certain way. I mean, there are like, you'll find hundreds and thousands of published paper also, which might have ensured PhDs of many people, but they are not really like in the strict sense. They're new ideas, like old ideas put in a different form, and with colorful images and good English sentences, and if you put them in a right way, you can still sell them as research articles into the journal. But at the same time, you also find like there are people who are really doing new work, like not sticking up to really like one thing, and finding uh, extensional bit of thing, sort of what we call in research, ripping out low hanging fruits. Like they know that this is easy to do, and that's why they do it. So, but there are exceptions to that. Like you said, there are Nobel laureates perhaps, and perhaps not Nobel laureates, who have done really exciting works that would stand out for like decades, and something like
I
let's
mean, they every day whatever we used to see,
they
with
used to say
nothing,
different.
yeah, as if nothing is there. It is you told that the steam table,
Yeah,
you thought of it as a reference book, okay, right? So
yeah.
many times we take things as a trivial, okay, but it is not trivial, right?
No, no. I
Yeah,
thought of it as a reference book in BTech, but then during my master PhDs, I thought of like, I mean, this is also generated, and this is published by a press. This is generated by people. So how they come up with this? Are these empirical data? Somebody has tested those properties of water at that specified pressure and temperature by the people who measure that thing experimentally, or if they measure, can I compute them from a formula or equation? So those sort of question comes to my mind. So how these numbers appear on this table, which are we are using to solve problems in our examination.
correct.
Yeah.
So the curiosity should be always there, okay,
Yeah, I mean, like that's probably a I mean, if you're not curious, then and if you're not knowing things, not knowing new things, not asking questions, I mean, is not your natural thing. Probably PhD is a hard thing, or
correct,
yes, you won't enjoy it. You'll probably find it a bit tiring, and you'll always probably think of when the journey is going to end, when you will
exactly.
have a degree oriented approach.
Yeah,
But if you have a curiosity driven mindset,
exactly.
if you are
Because I see many of my friends, okay, they will be always in a target to finish as a PhD, something to finish. It's a 100-meter race, but
no, it's not
it's
like
not like that, okay.
It's like more of a I kind of think as a stroll in the garden. You move through it, you'll find interesting flowers somewhere. You rest there inside near a tree for 10-15 minutes. There is no competition with, like, at the end of it whether you would find a very uh, heavenly lake or something that it's not like that.
Yeah, this is what actually I want to impart to all our participants through your journey. See, never think PhD or higher studies is just like another set point or journey where just you want to walk. Okay. Now, while walking to the journey, you should discover, okay, what is your interest, whether you are having this natural affinity to ask questions or to venture more into the natural aspect of phenomena what is happening around you. If it is not exciting you, uh, I think it will be a bit difficult to carry forward for such a longer time, isn't it?
Yes, yes. It's I mean, it's hard to motivate yourself day
Yeah.
after day if it is if you
I
don't.
have been seeing my colleagues here, because in Department of Atomic Energy, they will be provided to do PhD after some cooling period under the HPNI University. I find as if they are in the race. Okay, okay, I will finish in 3 years, I will finish in 4 years, as if it is just like that another degree. Then I feel, then what is the use of having a, see, everything emanated, if you just recall, from philosophy. It was everything in the beginning, it was philosophy. Later only we branched out physics, chemistry, biology, then again in the biology, evolutionary biology, microbiologist. But everything essentially during those era of Newtons and all these scientists, it was philosophy only, right?
Yeah, physicists were called as natural philosophers.
Natural, yeah. Now that trend is somehow I am not finding in those people or those young friends of mine. They are pursuing. Their thinking is just like a course. We want to finish and get a degree and doctor. Let us say Satyanarayan Sahu. But in that race, actually, we are losing a lot of precious time.
Yeah,
And if you see our country, the kind of demographic dividend we are having and the quality of research we are producing, though the number of doctorate is increasing every year, but the quality of work somewhere I am not finding that interesting work is not happening, isn't it? What is your view on this? Okay.
I think it's more or less you are right. I mean, like, I mean, there are several examples why people probably go, several motivations why people go for a PhD. Somebody in a state government college as a lecturer, probably thinking of getting a promotion and maybe.
Exactly. I wanted to say that a state government person, he thinks if I do the PhD, I'll become the associate professor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in a position really to become a expectations, but so think about some my institute will probably 150 or 200 PhD graduates every year. So if you combine that with the number of universities in India, probably let's say at a conservative rate, 10,000 PhD graduates every year. There are probably 50,000 journals in this
Correct.
world, or probably something. So if one, so your article will come in some journal somewhere, there would be a link somewhere which has your name on the web page. But it's of what is of its value if that benefit nobody reads it, if it is no use to the society, if you can't communicate that in simple language to a 10-year or 12-year-old, like and then it becomes really really difficult, like for what is the purpose it serves other than in guaranteeing you
Correct.
a meal or a position in a or a chair in an university or somewhere.
Correct.
These
Correct.
are probably important questions to ask, and I think some people probably don't ask that of themselves. Well, it's a bit hard. But yes, I think I would be a little bit ashamed of myself if I can't communicate what I am doing to a high school student, and without telling lot of complicated equations or telling them
Yes.
that
Without going
you,
into the technicalities, if you
yeah,
cannot explain, yeah.
explain, or if I just say that you are too young to know that, and this is what I do is very complicated, and then probably I think you shouldn't probably do it. If it is too hard for you, then you should find something easier to do.
Very, very nicely said. Very nicely said. Okay. So what will be your concluding remarks for today's session? What will be your like suggestion or advice to the young student, those who are pursuing BTech or those are going to do PhD or already in MTech? What will be your suggestion to them?
I think, I mean, whatever you like, stick to that, and try to do something what you enjoy for. I mean, it's very difficult to earn money and have a bit of mental satisfaction if you don't enjoy that. I mean, you can only do something for 6 hours, 8 hours a day for 23 years of 20, 30 years of your life, and make it is an enjoyable career if you really like to do something. And if you do something because somebody has asked you to do it, and then it's not going to work for a long enough time. You will develop um, mental frustration. You will find life a hard experience. Like so, there are challenges even when you follow your hobby, things you like. But at least you know that if you are going to fail, it is because of the reason that you made. And I choose that option, that wherever I go, if I fail or if I succeed, I know for my success, I could thank a lot of people, the Almighty, and everything. Like privilege in many regards to most people. But if I fail, I want to take that blame myself. Like, this is a decision I made at that point of time, and I don't want to blame people for my failure. And that's something I think most people would like to that, because it is convenient, it is easy. And if they make a choose a work or choose a research topic that was given by them, or choose a career that was advised by somebody else, then they could tell that at point में, अरे मुझे तो कुछ पता नहीं था, तुमने बोला इसीलिए कि अब तुम जानो। तो पर I don't like that. I like to take, like, if I made a journey to PhD or biology, and if that is going to take me 2 years, 1.5 years more than my PhD time, I accepted that. I mean, like, yeah, this is all good. It's not bad. I mean,
Right.
so you will be, if I think with freedom or independence comes a bit of responsibility, accountability, and you should accept that as a whole package. Like, as a young people, I think you should be able to make your choices and own the consequences, and enjoy that as both of the things. Don't blame others for your consequences, and don't let others also join you and detect your career path or life choices.
Very, very nicely said. Actually, I will be very much thankful to you
Yes.
for sharing your valuable time, almost 1.5 hours.
No.
It is very fascinating to personally. I was very much motivated by listening your talk. I was expecting few questions from our participant, but it's okay. I also know silently they will be appreciating whatever you told during these 1.5 hours. Before I conclude the session, I would just like to announce some of the things that we are currently taking up. This is a new initiative. This is a very unique initiative. We are going to take up from class 9th, like 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. And it is going to start on May 6th, this year 2022. The initiative is ask, like brother told, that तुमको पचारिया पड़ो है क्वेश्चन तुम जब पचारि पारन तुम जब क्यूरियोसिटी डेवलप कर पारन then you will be losing out many things. So we thought of introducing this ask initiative, and this ask stand for ask your doubt. आपण मान निजर डाउट किछि भी पचारंतु मैथमेटिक्स और साइंस रे, we will be able to solve your doubts. We will be bringing expert, like you may also find sometimes our own Pinaki and Episwine will be going to solve some of your doubt also. He will be going to deal with them. Then kindle yourself with knowledge. Okay, so this is the basic initiative. With the basic theme we are going to start. We will be encouraging you to ask any doubt. Let us say you are not understanding what is Faraday's law. So there will be expert from electrical, those who are working in the field of electrical. They will try to show you animation. They will try to show you practical videos. They will try to give their own experience how Faraday's law works. Okay, you don't understand what is a redox reaction, you don't understand what is a oxidation. So whatever you are having doubt, you don't understand what is quadratic equation, you don't know how to solve a Bernoulli's equation in differential equation. So what sort of doubt you are having in math, science from 9 to 12, you can freely ask. You can freely ask through our WhatsApp, or you can simply mail them. So this is a initiative we are going to start, and we'll will request you, please try to circulate this message so that it will be beneficial for those who cannot afford luxurious or expensive coaching. So it will be very helpful. Then another initiative that is currently actually we are taking up, this is regarding UPSC, those who are going to appear for the UPSC. I think it is on June 3rd. So if you are an UPSC aspirant and you are finding very difficult to clear the prelims, so what we have done, we have started to analyze previous question paper, especially general study paper 1, and already we have finished 2018. We have started this initiative this week Monday, and yesterday we finished all the 100 questions. There will be able to tell you how to approach each question. See, despite you know all the basics, it is not sufficient if you don't develop those like intuition or kind of smart elimination technique. You don't use your common sense. Now how to develop that? Okay, so those things will be discussed in those lectures. It will be on daily basis. You can join them on YouTube or Zoom. It will be every day live on 9 p.m, 9 to 9:30 or 9:40. Almost some 20 to 30 questions are going to discuss. So these are the things we are currently taking off, and I am very much thankful to Ipinaki that you have shared some of the valuable time and a valuable insight of your a decade-long career to our aspirant, to our students. I hope I hope you will be joining us whenever you feel time to motivate our fellow aspirants. It will be a nice nice thing for all of us. We really thank you, and we wish and we pray to Bhagwan that in your future endeavor also you will take up such exciting and society driven. I would like to request your work should be also have some impact on the society at large, and I am sure you will be thinking on those lines also. So it will be a nice journey for you as a human being also. So nice talking, nice session. So I am signing out. So we'll be having the last Sarve Bhavantu mantra, then we will finish the session. Thank you. Om. 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 Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pasyantu, ma kaschi dukha bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sai Ram, all of you. Thank you for joining.